Hey, welcome back to the Birds of a Feather podcast with Dustin, aka the Pursuer, and myself, Alan, aka the Unraveler, where, as I said before, we pursue and unravel things. And that is what we do here.
Things of the world.
Things of the world. Oh, don't make me laugh, it hurts, which is why I am pixelated. You all have to suffer with me today by watching me in a very bad lighted situation. I think I broke my rib yesterday, either that or severely bruised it, or them, whatever. On my left side here, I was out for a walk with my dog or our dog, and I don't know, the way she chased this other dog and twisted me, it tripped me up, and I fell right to my side. So it's hurting real bad. So I have to sit on this couch instead of my normal spot, just because it's the only position that doesn't kill me right now. So welcome to the suffering. I'm sorry for the pixelation, but it'll have to do for today. And yes,
I have broken many a rib.
You're the worst person to be talking to right now because it hurts to laugh. But
I will be stoic the whole time.
Yeah, that's not helping, dude. Not helping. So, Pursuer, what things are we pursuing and unraveling today?
So interesting, man. Today is my 5th year of sobriety. So 5/16/2020 is the day I got sober. That's my sobriety date.
I saw that today on Facebook. Congratulations, dude. That's freaking awesome.
Yeah, so today is 5 years. And I posted this morning, you saw, and I do that every year to just try and be of service to other people who are trapped in addiction. And I talk about addiction all throughout the year, but I do a big post every year on my birthday. And I've had the privilege of helping a lot of people escape addiction because I'm transparent about my own journey. It's been pretty awesome. Well, man, this morning this lady posted and she said, and I know who she is and I know her background, and she said, "What a testament of grace." And I take things like that very, very seriously and very personally, because most addicts do not make it into recovery. Most die. And they die very painful, torturous, slow, agonizing deaths. And their loved ones are just about as impacted as the addict themselves. And so I take that stuff pretty seriously. And so I reached out to her and I said, I genuinely desired to just have a conversation to help her see what a comment like that says to other people. Because comments that we make have implications. They carry with them ideas that are much bigger than the statement itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if I say, well, best of luck, people think, well, what does he mean luck? I mean, I worked really hard for this. Why? What does it have to do with luck?
Right.
In other words, everything carries kind of a construct with it. So I reached out to her and I said, what do you mean by that? And she said, well, I believe that your sobriety is a testament of God's grace. And I said, okay, why then am I the recipient of that grace and millions of others are not? Why are the majority of us going to suffer and die, and I am the recipient of this grace that you speak about? She said, well, that's not for us to question.
Mm-hmm.
And so dude, this is a conversation I just had this morning, man. And I said, so I have no right to ask why, or to even contemplate the complexities of that, or to be aware of the idea that countless of others, man, right now in this moment,
right,
are aspirating on their own vomit, are ODing on drugs, are committing suicide through a weapon or pills. Or I have no right to question that or wonder why. I just embrace it and say, well, it must be God's grace.
Right.
And she was very uncomfortable, man. And I was being very gentle and very sincere with her, right? And I said, "Do you think that my sobriety has anything to do with the work that I've put in one day at a time over the last 5 years?" And she said, "Well, I guess certainly that's a part of it, but it is by God's grace alone." And I said, "Well, I'm not trying to be ugly to you, but I completely disagree with you.
Yep.
Because first of all, I'm not a Christian. So I don't even believe in this God that you're talking to me about right now. I don't even believe that God exists. And so something that I don't believe in and something that I have no proof of even existing is not going to get me sober by grace and let other of these followers of his die in addiction, because countless Christians die in addiction. I don't believe that. And I said, and I also don't believe that it is healthy in any way for me to discount the work I have put in over the last 5 years. That work is not for nothing. I am the one who gets up and surrenders to a power greater than myself, which I believe is just the group itself and the collective consciousness and the power of energy and the power of the subconscious mind. Those are powers greater than me. And I submit every day to those rather than old Dustin, the ego construct trying to run things. And I believe that when I wake up and I choose to be sober for that day and to practice recovery in my life, that is me doing that. And I asked her this question last. I said, "Do you think that your comment could negatively impact someone who is in addiction right now, or a family member who is suffering through the addiction of someone they love? Do you think that your statement could have possibly impacted them in a negative way because you said, hey, lucky you, you got God's grace and all these other people don't?"
Mm-hmm.
And she admitted, she said, "I never thought about it that way." So, dude, hooray that I helped her think through something. But, bro,
Well, she needs to work out a sobriety of her own, one away from this dependency on, God. That's a whole other addiction. That it's funny. I mean, this whole thing you're talking about, I'm so glad you called her on that and talked about it because you're absolutely right. I mean, I literally, I'm editing my book for the second edition that I'm intending to release under a new title this year. And just before the show, I was in a chapter, and ironically, that's exactly what this chapter where I was dealing with, all giving credit to God and all that kind of stuff instead of credit where it's due for your efforts or whatever. And I might say that was a God thing. It's a divine God thing that we happen to be. It's the same thing at the same time. But that's in jest, of course. But there are Christians who believe that. Oh, look, as soon as something happens that connects, it's a God thing. But then when it doesn't, it's not a God thing. But the irony isn't everything a God thing. Like if God's sovereign, isn't everything a God thing?
If God is omnipresent and omniscient, then he has to be.
Well, sure, yeah. So for example, I was just here's a section. I'll just read this from my book. Is why is it that Christians on sports teams credit God for the win, while the Christians from the opposing team have to logically blame God for the loss? If you can give God credit for your win, then that means God also predetermined that the other team would lose. It means that no matter how prepared either team was for the game, the outcome was already predetermined.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with their skills.
Yeah, so I mean, if you think about it's how ludicrous it is to attribute credit to God for anything, because if that's the case, then no matter how hard you put effort into this life, so it'd be like raising your kid. And if you were being honest with them because you believe this grace of God thing and believe that God gets the credit for everything, like why are we working on our kids to put effort into things? Why teach them to do their best and to try and to work hard because that's what achieves success? That is completely contradictory to the grace model. And yet most every person I know that follows the grace model teaches that to their kids, myself included when I was a Christian. And it just doesn't work. So why not just be lazy on your ass and do nothing and just let the grace of God do it? And the traditional argument that I would have proposed is, well, God's grace wouldn't let you do that. Okay, great. Well, if God's grace won't let me do that, then why are we worried about it? Why do you have to teach me anything? Let God's grace do it. Well, no, but you have to put work into it. Why? I thought you said it was God's grace.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense, dude. The whole model is just weird, dude. I don't even know how dude, I swear to God, when you're brainwashed, you just believe stuff, man. It's just, it doesn't add up.
Yeah, it's yeah, it doesn't work. And that was a perfect example that you just gave of the football team, because that's what I'm saying. Those, the quarterback gets interviewed after the game and says, I just give all glory to God for that win. Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
Right.
There is a massive amount of theology wrapped up within those statements, and it says something to other people. The losing team is like, okay, well, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So what does that say about me?
You could lose through Christ who strengthens you.
Yeah. I mean, man, it's a lot, man. It's a lot.
It really is, man. So yeah, grace and credit. It's absolutely a bizarre thing. It's almost like, and this was one of the things. I don't know if you recall my story about when I was put under probation as a youth pastor for being arrogant.
I remember that,
because the whole idea is, if you can't possibly take credit for your own ideas, and if you have ideas and somebody else disagrees with you, you have to act like their idea is as good as yours. And I'm like, no, I don't. Their idea is stupid. Why would I do that? Some ideas just are stupid, and that's just the way it goes. Some of my ideas are stupid. I mean, like, at some point, you have to come to grips with the fact that one person's idea is better than the other, and you just got to be okay with that. Like, well, why is it construed as arrogance? Like, I'm confident that I have a good head on my shoulders, and when I see a flaw in something, I call him on it. I don't see a problem with that, but you have to attribute grace to God for everything, and it becomes this whole thing where if you take credit for it in any way, shape, or form, or act like you're right in some way, that's arrogant, that's a sin, and it's not giving credit where credit's due. And I'm like, wow, am I glad I'm free of that, because I like taking credit for my own effort. Man, I'll tell you what, over the past 5 years, the shit I had to pull myself through to get to where I am today, I'm proud of myself. I'm very proud of myself.
Yeah, and you should be.
And I should be. And you should be too, dude. Congratulations again on your sobriety, man. I'm so proud of you, dude. That's freaking awesome.
Yeah. Thanks, brother, man.
Yeah, we've been journeying together for a lot of years, man. So it's neat to see how far we've come. And I'll tell you what, man, I think I've become a far better person since letting go of that whole doctrine and actually realizing that I put my own effort into it. And I'm the person who has to work at this, and I don't need to wait around for. That's another thing. The whole waiting, right? Pray and wait, right? So we talk about prayer extensively, but what about this wait on the Lord? What the hell does that mean? Wait. How long do you wait? Wait until what? Wait until you have the answer? Wait until you put enough effort into it to do it and then turn around and call it grace? Like, what are you waiting on?
Yeah. The other thing is because I agree with you, letting go of that has caused me to be a far greater human being as well. Because the other thing is, and we've talked about this, I genuinely believe that Christianity cultivates a subtle sociopathy in people. I think Christians are sociopathic in a lot of ways. Yep. And they make statements that are callous. They say very flippant things to people without actually getting involved. We just got a diagnosis that my son has leukemia and he has a year to live. Oh, I'll pray for you. Okay, but what is that going to do?
Right.
Thanks for saying that, but what is that going to do? Are you going to come over and help me hold my son while he's weeping and crying and writhing in pain and knows he's going to die soon? Or is that what that means? Or what does that mean? I mean, there's just this detachment within the Christian community. And it's interesting, man. People will post stuff on social media and all these Christians will come on and say, oh, I'm praying for you. Oh, lifting you up in prayer. And I will purposefully go on and say this rather than just telling you that I'm going to pray for you. What can I do for you? is there anything your family needs? Can I bring you some food? Do you need me to come help you around the house? I will literally say things like that. I can't tell you how many people have sent me a private message and said, do you know that you're the only person who offered to help me?
Wow. Wow.
And that has occurred because coming out of religion, I began to realize how little I was actually involved.
Yeah. Holy cow. Dude, I got to tell you, the same for me when I was a Christian. That would have been my approach. Just, do the very least you can to make it look like you care.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying all Christians are like that. Some are actually very awesome and stuff, but I don't think it's because of the grace of God. I think it's just because they're good people. And I think that's by and large one of the things I like in my book is that, some people, some are just assholes and some are good people. I mean, that's just the way it is. It's not because of God. Some people just have good personalities and they're just better people.
Yeah. So check this out, man. This was, oh my gosh, this had to have been in 2001. I was talking with a missionary, and man, this guy literally lived in dirt. I mean, that's his floor of his little hut was dirt, and everyone in his village was, I mean, they were just poor and dying, and all this stuff. And he came over here and was talking about what people could do for his community, which really had to do with finances. That was it. I mean, that's what they need. They need money to get food and things. And I asked him, I said, because we were talking about missions, and missions are a big deal within Christianity, and especially if a Christian believes in the Great Commandment and or the Great Commission in Matthew 28. And I asked him, I said, well, don't all these missionaries help? Bro, his answer, big black dude, dark. I mean, dark as midnight black, Nigerian guy. He said, missionaries do more harm than they do good. He said, they come in and they bring these kids and they come in for a week and it makes them feel better. And they do all of these things and they say all of these things and they get all of these people in my country and in my villages excited, and then they leave. He said, and we have to deal with those people every day, all year round. Man, wow. That blew my mind in terms of missions.
Uh-huh.
Because you come in there with a youth group for a week, or you go on a mission trip for a week and you help dig a well and you hug these people and you tell them you love them, and they see you come from opulence and just lavishness and luxury, and they see all of that, and you say all these words, and then you leave. You go back to your comfort in your country and they're stuck in the dirt.
Wow, man, that's eye-opening. That's tough, man. Oof.
Isn't that a trip, man?
Oh, it is. It is. Yeah, no, it definitely is. Missions is, it's nothing more than an idea of taking, American Christianity to other cultures and, trying to convert them to this idea of Jesus or whatever. And you do that and you don't really give two shits about their lifestyle or how they live. As long as they don't live in some way that's not approved by your American Christianity. Suffering is fine. Just don't live, just don't have sex out of marriage.
Yeah, definitely. Don't masturbate. Don't gossip.
Right. Don't look at porn. Oh, thank goodness you can't. You don't have internet, so you're good with that one. It's just stupid.
Yeah. Just well, ridiculous. But it's Jesus said it's in the mind, though.
Yeah, right. No, I know, dude. As long as you don't do those sins that we dub sins here in America, then you're fine. God, it makes me sick. And, so tying it all together, when we think about it, as a Christian, and again, I often get accused of generalizing because every Christian has seemingly different theologies and beliefs about God. So it becomes impossible to even discuss it sometimes or narrow it down when I'm making a comment. But so I can speak from what I think is genuine Christianity, at least where I came from, this idea of grace or whatever. So if you're dependent on God's grace to do good things, whenever you do good things, you praise God and you say God gets the credit. Glory be to God. It's because of God's grace. When you fail and you do bad things, depending on the type of Christian you are, you might say, oh, the devil made me do it. So now it becomes a blame game. Or God just chose not to bestow his grace on me in that moment and let me live in my sin. So somehow I'm responsible for my own evil when I do wrong, but I can also say that it's because God's grace didn't step in that moment. So I still have a scapegoat. I still can say, well, God just chose not to do something good in me today.
Yeah. Yes, no, maybe so.
Right. So now without all that grace stuff, I actually personally feel the weight of responsibility for my actions more than I ever did as a Christian. I know full well that when I do good, damn, I'm proud of that. And I deserve to be proud of that. When I don't and I fuck up, bro, I need to deal with that. I have to take responsibility for that. And I have to do something about it. I don't get to just sit around and be like, well, God's grace didn't work for me. No, it's I screwed up. I'm going to take responsibility for this and I'm going to do better. Like that is a totally different mindset and worldview than I lived as a Christian.
Oh, yeah, completely.
And I know people will say, well, that's ridiculous. You should have lived like that as a Christian too. Well, maybe you don't have your theology right then as a Christian, because as a Christian, you have to depend on grace entirely. And you cannot continue to attribute yourself for any effort you do or blame yourself for anything bad you do. It's either Satan, sin, or God for all your bad things.
Yeah. And that's such an interesting consideration, man, that I have to personally try and remember is that, man, to be honest with you, Alan, most Christians have no idea what they believe. They really don't. They just go, oh, Jesus and blood and sin, Jesus.
Right.
They have absolutely no idea about theology. If you ask them what their eschatology was, they'd look at you like you spoke a different language. If you ask them whether they were reformed in their thinking or more Arminianistic or compatibilistic, they'd be like, what do you mean by that? And if you pressed them, they would be frustrated with you because it just doesn't matter to them. And unfortunately, affability runs rampant in the church. There is just an affability and ambivalence that is just terrible because theology matters. And unfortunately, even if you're just the, oh, I love Jesus person, telling someone, oh, praise Jesus, says a lot, way more than what you're thinking it says. And people hear you say that, and all of a sudden there's a matrix on you, and there's 1,000 stigmas that go along with that. And people don't think about that. It's just far more enveloping than people want to admit or care to realize. And
yeah, I mean, sorry, go ahead, finish it.
No, go ahead.
My thought wasn't going to be that important. I hope I didn't interrupt a good thought there. But I was just going to say it's almost become a throw off saying like, hey, what's up, man? You don't look for an answer. It's just a comment. How you doing?
Yeah.
I don't want to know how you're doing. That's just a courtesy that we.
It's a name tag. Hi, my name is Praise God.
Yeah. Right.
Hi, my name is God is Sovereign.
Right. I don't want to know. I don't want to know all of the connections to it. It doesn't matter. Just like I don't want to know your answer when I say how you doing. It's that kind of thing. Like it's just I'll throw it out there because it's the Christianese, but it just really doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yep.
So anyway, in regards to this, this reminds me to plug our show next week with Tim Mills.
Forefathers.
Yeah, and JP Cody. The Forefathers is going to be a great show where we talk about the Father and the goodness of the Father. Whether God
that's going to be interesting, man. That's going to have a lot of paradigms to it.
It is. It's going to be a fun show to discuss. We'll throw some scripture out there and see what things about God are said, and then we'll discuss them as fathers and see what we think about them. But the reason that transitioned my mind to talking about it is because earlier you talked about helping people in genuine need or whatever. So I just want to throw a plug out there for Tim Mills right now. He is going through a horrible custody battle. And I know the whole story ends not that you have to take my word for it. You can talk to Tim and get his feeling, but I can vouch for him, and I can tell you that he's on the right side of this. He needs help financially. He is the lawyer fees are absolutely ridiculous. If anybody's gone through this kind of thing, you know what I'm talking about. It's bad.
I did.
It sucks, man. We're going through it now with RaiseX, so we're also in that same type of boat. We're paying out the wazoo, but we're okay financially, at least enough to be able to continue to cover our bases. But he's in a bad shape. So, and he's been asking for help. So I wanted to use this as a platform to also ask for help for him. He could sure anybody out there has any ability to help him, or knows anybody that could, especially in a large way. Please reach out to him and see what you can do.
Yeah, and if we, what we can do on that show is if he has a GoFundMe or something, we can post it on there and
yes, absolutely. That. No, absolutely, and we'll do that. And that's for next week, and for this week, I'll put I'll put a link to his contact and channel on this video, so that if anybody wants to help, just look below in the info section and just go check it out. That would be awesome. So anyway, so yeah, that's a good way to help. And don't pray for him. That's not going to help. But if you want to contribute in a way that does, money in this case will help him. And especially if you enjoy his shows anyway, because he does an incredible job on Harmonic Atheist. I love his shows. It's so good. He interviews he just interviewed what's his name, son? Oh my goodness, my mind just went blank. I do
Franklin
this like
Graham?
No, I do this like once an episode. My mind goes blank. Oh goodness, big dude. Hang on, let me check here. And so he does these interviews of people who have left Christianity, and it's fun. He does a lot of great stuff. Hang on a second, let's get to Harmonic Atheist. It was with, of course, it's not. Here it is. Chuck Swindoll's son.
Oh wow, his son left Christianity.
Yeah, it's incredible, man. Yeah, Chuck Swindoll.
Dang, that's awesome.
Yeah. No, it's becoming more, and of course, John Piper's son, left Christianity. We're seeing this more and more, and it's funny because even me leaving Christianity, the people in my family, there's it makes me sad because there is a deep-seated pain and agony that they feel internally because of my choice, right? And you might have the same situation. I'm not sure because I don't think you came from a Christian background, but they have like my mom and I have this agreement that we can't talk about it because we know it's not healthy for our relationship, so we just don't discuss it. But I know she's praying intently for me. I know she probably weeps sometimes. It hurts her tremendously to hear my voice and know that I'm not a Christian, to know that I do these kinds of shows, like that I wrote a book called How to Kill God the Easy Way. Like, these are not easy for her. So there's a lot of pain that comes. And it's sad to me because I'm not the one inflicting the pain. It's the religion that has brainwashed her into thinking that it's the only true way to go to heaven and that God is real. And so that keeps her in this mind virus that causes the pain that says that son of yours left the truth. And that's actually not the truth. I'm not the one causing the pain. And it's really sad because it's like, unless you're willing to read the book and potentially deconvert, you're never going to understand what I'm saying because you think I'm just rebelling, and I'm not,
Oh God. Literally when I wrote the foreword to your book and compared leaving that cult to getting out of addiction and how leaving the cult was harder than leaving addiction, it's 100% true.
Yeah.
It is a brainwashing cult thinking that permeates every aspect of your life. And yeah, man, I'm so glad to be out of it.
Yeah, I'm glad to be out of it, but it breaks my heart for those that are still in it. And not just that they're in it, but the ones that are in my family that care so deeply about me that they're so heartbroken over this. And I don't want them to feel that heartbreak. I just don't know what to do to not make them feel that heartbreak. I mean, I just wish it was
Well,
like, I wish it was
truth-
like the difference between eating, between preferring steak or chicken, and then it wouldn't be a big
Yeah,
deal.
but truth be told, man, them feeling bad helps them to feel better and justified, just like going on a mission trip does, just like saying, God is so good, just got that new Corvette, just like all the other stuff. All it does is it's meant to make them feel better.
Mm. Well, that is true. Yeah. Well, if you're out there and you're just feeling better about it, then don't. We're good. We're happy, and you could be happy too.
Yeah.
Just leave the cult. We've been waiting for you out here. Anyway,
That's right.
That was fun, man. I always love talking to you, and I can't wait until next week when we do the show with those guys.
Dude, that's going to be awesome.
Yeah, Forefathers is going to be great. So anyway, this weekend's going to be fun for me too. I got a great lineup this weekend. Tomorrow morning, I'm talking with Brian Simmons about ethics, whether you can have ethics without God or not. That'll be great. Sunday afternoon, I continue my debate with Rick Welch, which is awesome because the whole apologetics versus experiences thing. And then Sunday night, the deconversionists are getting back together again to talk about full preterism. And by the way, so just in case anybody's watching, and we'll talk about this tomorrow night too, the deconversionists, it just happens that we're the first 4 that are doing it, but there's a ton of deconversionists, like you being one of them, Tim Mills, whatever. So we're going to be having every month, like we'll have new guests and like different deconversionists. So it won't just be the same 4 of us. There's a whole slew, and I would love to. And so every month we'll be doing that. So hopefully next month I'll be able to get you on and maybe Tim Mills and a couple others, and we'll just answer some questions that people traditionally have about atheists or whatever. So it'll be fun. So we'll be in touch about that. But anyway, everybody tune in this weekend at the Unraveler show, and we'll see you all here at Birds of a Feather next week. Good night.